Hello and welcome to the Real Estate Regroup Show. I am your host, LJ Walker. Well, guys, it's been a year since Malcolm Jamal Warner died from a drowning accident off of Costa Rica, right? When he died, he was worth $3 million and he was making $680,000 annually. But see, guys, if he were to see what's going on right now between his wife and his mother, I know he would not be happy at all, at all. So, as some of you may already know, his wife is actually suing his mother, who is the successor of the family trust. She's suing her in both LA and in Georgia. See, LA is where the family trust was actually created. And I'm assuming that the reason why she's also suing in Georgia is because there was a house that the two of them lived in that was in Georgia as well. Sometimes when you have multiple homes, whether they are within the trust or not, you have to sue in both places if you're going to go down that particular route. So here's the thing. The wife and the daughter, they're not on the trust at all. And this is a mistake that many people make. They get married, they have kids, and they forget to add them on as beneficiaries or successors or what have you. They forget to add them to their trusts, to insurance, or whatever other benefits they may have. And that's what happened in this case. If this was done as early or as soon as possible, a lot of this would have been avoided. But unfortunately, it wasn't. And they really wasn't married that long. It was only a few years, to be quite honest with you. But this shows you why you got to do it as soon as possible and not keep delaying things. Now, what was done is that Malcolm and his wife, they did have a prenup. In the prenuptial agreement, he promised that a life insurance would be set up, retirement would be set up, a college fund would be set up. But unfortunately, those things were not set up at all. Then on top of that, he promised $16,000 would be given to her annually on their anniversary, and she would be paid $5,000 per month because she was chief of staff. Now that's what the gossip columns are saying, right? However, in the actual document, it does not say she was chief of staff. In the actual document, the lawsuit, it says she was a housewife. So I'm not sure where they got that from. Okay. Yeah, so that is sort of strange, but I'll get back to that. Put a pin in that. Next, in the trust itself, as I stated, the wife and the daughter is not in the trust. The trust was in the mom's name. The mom got 70%, the half sister, and then Malcolm Jamal's Warner's father, who actually died. So really the only two living people that's in the trust is the half sister and the mother, right? Now, as far as what assets are in the trust, I don't have access to that particular information. I do know that real estate wise, I'm losing my voice, forgive me guys. He had the home in Georgia, which is probably why the wife is suing in both Georgia and LA. And then in Los Angeles, they said that there were two homes. There was one home where the wife and he had lived together, and then there was another house that he once lived in that he turned into a rental, which made $9,000 a month. And according to one particular news source, it said that the mother wanted to sell, I believe she wanted to sell that particular house. And the daughter was against, not the daughter, the wife was against that. So let me sort of break this thing down as best as I can Please note, I'm not a lawyer, right? Even though I have access to many, I'm not one. So don't hold me to it. Besides, sometimes cases turn laws around and nobody can really predict all the time how things are going to be taken up by the judge. So first and foremost, let me just put it out there. A prenup is not above a trust. The trust is number one. That document overrides just about everything, right? However, in the state of Georgia, the surviving spouse, after 1 year passes, they can make claims on the trust, but they got to go to probate court in order to do so, to ask for a award. And they got to prove things like, the trust is either fraudulent or invalid. Okay. They have 1 year after the spouse dies in order to do it. And it's only going to be like a one-time payment. It's not going to be something ongoing. So a trust can still be sued, okay, even though it's above the prenup. The other thing, too, to note is that if the prenup mentions the trust, then the wife does have, and the daughter does have some rights, if you will. Or if the trust mentions the prenup, then the wife does have some control. She would definitely be awarded something. But again, there's no guarantee how the outcome is, especially since I have not seen the prenup, and I don't know if that part is in the prenup, if the prenup mentions anything about the trust. I just know that the prenup mentioned the things that I talked about before, and I don't know if the trust mentions the prenup, because that would also give her a leg up as well. Now, here's the thing. So, as far as the $16,000 annual, she wouldn't be able to get it annually. She probably would only be able to get that one time. Okay. Now, the $5,000 a month, the reason why that's questionable, because she did not put down that she was chief of staff. Well, at least not in the Georgia case. She put down she was housewife. That's not the same thing. And also, it depends on if you're going to call yourself chief of staff, or if you're going to call someone chief of staff, how is it written? Is it that they were an employee of your business? Because if they were the employee of the business, then the Georgia law would look at the Wage Act. If they were an owner of the business, then they would have to look at the operating agreement. That would have to come into play as well, so that the judge could determine, okay, do you get the $5,000 a month or don't you? Or do you get less or none at all? These are the things that are going to come into play. However, with Georgia, I think that they would only probably look at the year. They're not going to look at continuously, for her to get like $5,000 a month for, let's say, the year after and year after that, because Malcolm unfortunately has passed away. All right. So these are the things, guys. This is what I wanted to bring to your attention, so that you guys know that, listen, okay, you might not be Malcolm Jamal Warner, you might not be the wife, you might not make as much money, but don't think that something like this can't happen to you. It can happen to you. The fact that he created the family trust, that was a good thing. The fact that he forgot to put his wife and kids on it, that part is not so good. And I know that drawing up a trust, putting it together is not easy because you want to do it one and done. And it costs money to make changes, but that wasn't a very important change that he forgot to make, or that he said, I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it later, right? As far as the college fund and the retirement, I'm not sure. And, also looking at it outside of real estate, outside of legalities, I'm thinking to myself, I don't think the mother would be so cold as not to give the wife anything, especially since she's raising the grandchild. I think what it is that the mother probably doesn't agree with how much money she should give the wife. That's what I think is the case. I think that is it. I don't think it's, oh, she shouldn't get anything at all. And I think that's why, unfortunately, they couldn't come to an agreement, and that's why they're going to court. And believe it or not, tell you the truth, the mother could have put the wife in the trust. She could put the mother and the daughter on, or she could put the daughter on and leave the wife off. She could have done that, because if you remember in Elvis's case, right? I believe I heard later on that Priscilla was put on by Elvis's father. That's how her name got on that trust. So the same thing could have been done here, but sometimes for whatever reason, families don't agree. And unfortunately, things have to go to court. It's really sad that this has happened, but these things do happen. And that's why you should look into getting a trust, a will. You should definitely, set up the college fund and the retirement as quickly as possible. But I know he probably didn't think he would die so suddenly. But I have to admit, I am shocked that he didn't have a retirement fund. Like, that is something that you start when you're in your 20s, like as soon as you start working. But yeah, I'm shocked that he didn't do that part. But anyway, guys, what are your thoughts? Drop it down in the comments. All right, for now, that's all I have to share with you. Hopefully you will share this with one of your friends, because each one reach one, teach one. Bye for now. Until next time, have a good night.